Welcome to my coming out video, or welcome back to my coming out video. Today, I've been putting this video off for a long time. This is gonna be the most, uh, guys, this is literally like 3 something, and I'm trying to upload this at like 5 something. I've put this video off for so long, not just years, but like as far as making the video for like months. So let's get into it. So I just want to clarify, just want to start out everything, then I'm going to get into the story time of my coming out experience. I am bisexual, meaning I like guys and girls, meaning if you see me with a girl or a girlfriend later on in the future, no shocker. If you see me with a boy or a boyfriend later on in the future, no shocker. There's only 2 options here. So, this video is pretty much saying it could go either way. Or I could just end up alone still. So yeah, let's get into the video. So pretty much throughout my life, throughout my life has always been like tragic and like being bullied and stuff like that to a certain extent. But as far as it getting extreme, I believe it was around like 5th grade. I know it was like hard 6th grade all the way through middle school, high school. People used to call me like, the F slur, gay, spit at me, punch me, slap me, take my clothes, take my hat, take my necklaces, try to like just tormenting, like literally like actual torment, and not just from like students, but like also like staff, like faculty, like adults. And then on top of me just not having I wouldn't say my childhood was horrible. Okay, maybe. But on top of me, just life just not being the best at home. There was a point where I was like homeless, whether I lived in a motel or we got a place and I lived, sleeping on an air mattress, and my mom was just, mom things, and there's not that just being tragic, and me not seeing my dad and going to school and people bullying me and stuff like that. And then another thing, and this is for another video, but like, I kind of been attacked by demons for like most of my life, so couldn't even sleep. So like all of that combined was just like not the best childhood for me. And I want to say what sparked me coming out to my mom was not. It was a couple of months ago. I believe it was like March, and right now it's June, end of June. So I want to say what sparked me to actually like come out wasn't the best situation. I came out more so out of like anger, jealousy, resentment, and then also just like not caring anymore. I was like just mad or whatever. So let me set the scene because it was a lot. Back in, I believe it was like end of February, I noticed myself, first of all, like always been like depressed, whether you like knew it or not. But yeah, so I just went to like an all-time low, right? And I'm trying to like get the point across without saying too much because can't put people's business out there. But let's say I was close to an individual for a few years, and y'all in the community know how it is when you're just like there's someone there for you to like talk to all the time, stuff like that. They're very close to you. You start to slightly develop feelings, not nothing too serious, but just like an attachment, right? And so I developed this attachment for this individual, and this individual was also somebody that was like, prior to, said some homophobic things, right? So come to find out, this individual told me, he was like, oh yeah, like just nonchalantly, like, oh yeah, like I've hooked up with a guy before, whatever, just like, and that kind of like threw me, like shook me, like I couldn't comprehend, because I was just like, you were just this individual that Y'all, it was just a lot for me to handle because he was just so openly homophobic before, and now all of a sudden he's just nonchalantly saying he hooked up with a guy, and it just seemed like everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody that's ever been like homophobic to me or whatever, has now got a boyfriend, like a boy that has a boyfriend or a girl that has a girlfriend. My ex-girlfriend said I'm too feminine. Now she has a whole girlfriend? What the fuck? But someone that I was like, always talked to, developed like feelings for, whatever, like trusted, stuff like that, that was homophobic in the past, is now all of a sudden telling me like, oh yeah, like I've hooked up with a guy, like nonchalantly, like that was just like, so that threw me. And at that point I was just like, you know what, if he just nonchalantly said that like that, then I'm just gonna nonchalantly just like, you know, just finally like come out or whatever. And it was very much built off of like a stack of emotions. So I remember being at work, and I'm not a crier, I'm not the person to cry. Like, I don't expect to cry during this video. I'm not that person to come on the internet crying or even just cry, like, just in general. Like, I usually will cry every couple years or so. Like, I'm that person. Like, I don't cry like that. So I was at work back in, like, end of February at work, and I just started, like, crying. Like, at work. Crying at work. Like, I'm talking about, like, sobbing. And I worked at this warehouse where it was, like, I don't know, like refrigerator, like freezer section. Like, I'm talking about, I was like negative 20 degrees, just like, like sobbing. And I was like, okay, this is obviously getting to the point where like things are horrible. So I texted my mom. This went on for like days with me just like crying. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like do it. I texted my mom while I was at work, and I was like, I have to tell you something. This is gonna be the most important conversation we're ever gonna have in our entire lives. So yeah. So then I get home, and, you know, of course she was like, yeah, whatever, talk to me. Cause, you know, like I never say that. Like, I don't talk to my mom. Like, I've been very distant from my mom because she's been saying homophobic things throughout my entire life. And of course I internalized that because like I'm the only person in the room here, you know what I mean? So pretty much the best way I could describe it is like, imagine you're black and you're growing up in a white family, but like your white family is racist and they don't know that you're black. So while you're growing up, you just sit there and listen to all the racism that they like spew out, and you take that in. That's pretty much how it is being, you know, that's pretty much how it was being me. So pretty much I sat her down or whatever, and this is where things went left, because I don't know what I was expecting. Clearly, I wasn't expecting a great response based off of like everything that she's, you know, said in the past and all that stuff like that. But I just wasn't expecting this. So sat her down, and pretty much, y'all, I came with the heat. I'm not gonna lie, I came with the heat because, like I said, I was coming out of, it wasn't nothing too aggressive, but I was just coming hard. Like, if this is how you want to be, this time I'm gonna, you know, deliver. So I pretty much sat her down and was like, pretty much like, I've been bullied to an extent that you don't know, and that no one, you know, knew throughout my entire life at school, as far as people being very homophobic and stuff like that. And then, you know, going home and then listening to you say random things for no reason out of thin air. You know, that wasn't the best. I remember my cousin coming out and my mom just being like, you all need to pray for her because da da da. And like, obviously, you know, I talking to my mom, like, I remember you saying that as if something was wrong with her. So like, obviously I wasn't gonna, you know what I mean? I wasn't gonna come out or whatever. And then my mom just went into like this defense mode, like, I'm not homophobic, I've never said. And I was like, pulls out book, like, yes, you have, on March the 2nd, this year, because obviously I remember everything, right? So I started just going through a list of everything that she's ever said. I don't know, I was just expecting more sympathy or something, like, after saying all of that. And also she's in a relational, I think that's what it's called, relationship, like white, black. And I was like, you know, hey, that has not been, that was not legalized until like 5 years before you were born. So like, if that wasn't legalized, you would not be able to be married to the person that you're married to. So I don't know why you don't want a man and a man being married. Like, it does not affect you whatsoever. And thought that, you know what I mean? Like, you try to give like examples here and there and stuff like that to be like, you know, maybe she would get the gist of like, I'm, you know, like she was being ridiculous. And then this woman literally just said like, if you want to sit here and attack me, if this is what you want to do. And I was like, attack? What? I'm like, so you think I'm attacking you? And she was like, if this is what you want to do. And I'm like, well, I just don't understand why you go so hard for the gay, like, on gay people or anybody in the LGBTQ plus community as if it's like a double or triple sin. When I was like, you've had kids out of wedlock, slept with married men, lied, still cheat, like you've done all of these things. Yet a guy liking another, like simply just being like, oh, you're cute, or like holding hands, you're just like disgusted, like don't, like I don't understand where she was. It was a lot. And this woman literally just like shut down. Like I've never seen her like shut down like that before, and then just get all defensive. And at that point I just got up and was like, because I'm that person, I'm the get up and leave type of person, not necessarily storm out because I wasn't mad, I was just like done and like irritated, like your logic here makes absolutely no sense. And even like people I know, like everybody I know pretty much having kids out of wedlock, we're having celebrations, baby showers, all that stuff like that, yet, and like obviously that's a sin, but like yet a guy liking a guy or a girl liking a girl just makes you sick. Like you're just like, that's the ultimate sin, gross, disgusting, abomination. Like that's literally how she's been. So I'm like, I don't understand your logic. So you all tell me why I get up and I walk out of my room or whatever, because she was in my room. And she was like, I don't know, like you always do this, you always leave, da, da, da. And my point is just like, I can't sit here and have a conversation with somebody that's not getting, you know, where the conversation is not getting anywhere, where I've said all I could say and this person is not, you know what I mean? She was just very defensive and like, you shouldn't have been wearing my heels growing up. Y'all, I got in trouble for wearing clear nail polish in like the 4th or 5th grade. Like even to this day, like traumatized, like can't even, like clear nail polish, you all, or like foundation, which I mean, like I was wearing foundation because like I had horrible acne, not because I was out here trying to beat my face. Whatever, you all tell me why, you know, just life things, BMW things, just my life things. Tell me why I leave out of my room and you all, my car, because I was, you know, finna leave or whatever, because that's what I do best. My car would not start, randomly would not start. Fast forward to when I get my car fixed or whatever, take it to them. They're like, oh, like nothing had to get replaced. Nothing was wrong with it. Things were just off. Like there was like a slight misfire, you know, like somewhere or whatever, which is crazy. I'm like, the car literally just would not start. And I'm so grateful that it did not start, because I am pretty positive that I would not be here today. I was like way over the edge, sobbing all the time in like the deepest of depression. And I just, suicidal. I know that had I left, like I was in the mood to just like coast off a bridge. Anyways, car didn't start, so I literally had no choice but to stay in the house with this woman. So I went to my little brother's room and was just like on the like fell on the floor, was like sobbing, crying in this man's, you know, in this man's room. And he was looking at me like didn't know what to do or whatever. And then while I was on the floor like this, like flooding the floor with tears, my mom came in the room, but like I didn't know she came in the room because like I obviously didn't want to be in her presence. Like I didn't want her to be around me. So she motioned for him to go out the room, and then she came in the room or whatever, while, you know, me not knowing or whatever. So then I open my eyes and I see her there, and I get up and I'm just like this, like sobbing, like crying heavily, hard, everything like that. And at that point, I think she realized she was being ridiculous. So, and also me, I can cut people off extremely easily. And throughout our conversation, like towards the end, I was just like, it's fine. Like, I'll just not talk to you anymore. Like, I'll just, I was like, you have your daughters. Like, you have your now two stepsons. Like, I'll just like leave. Like, I don't want to be a part of your life anymore. And oh my God. Okay. See, this is why I'm putting off this video. All right. I'm not trying to go through the emotions. So yeah, so I pretty much was like, even though like clearly probably the hardest person that I could emotionally cut off would be my mom, but like that's where I was. So I just remember her being like I've never like made my mom like cry. Not that I like was trying to, like, but she was like, no, like I'm like, she was like trying to apologize and stuff like that. Like, no, like give me a hug. And I was like pushing her away. And then I left the room or whatever and was crying. Then I remember going to the bathroom, sobbing in the bathroom. Then I came into my room and my little brother came in here and like was talking to me or whatever. And I literally was just like, I don't know what to do. But I was like, I just want to be like left alone, right? So he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm sure, whatever. But like still crying. Like I'm talking about like sobbing to the point where like you could probably hear it outside. Like the loudest, ugliest cry, like snot everywhere, like just a mess. So then he was like, are you sure like you're gonna be okay? He was like, well, I'll come back to check on you. And I think he said like 30 minutes or something like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So this man leaves the room, and like as soon as this man leaves, probably like 1 minute after this man leaves, I had this glass. First of all, I had a mirror. The mirror's now gone. There was a mirror on my wall or whatever. And I just picked up this glass and like threw it at the mirror, and like glass flew everywhere in my room. And the lights went out because I have this thing where, like, the light clapper thing where like, it's on Amazon where you like clap and the lights go off. So I guess from the explosion, like the lights went off because it was plugged into that thing. Glass flew everywhere, and I was just in here like crying. And then my sister was in the shower, and I just remember her like screaming like, "What was that?" Like, and like ran out the restroom or whatever. And I'm here just a mess. My little brother ran back in the room. The room's pitch black. There's glass all over the floor, all over the bed because it's a glass cup, and then also like a huge mirror that just exploded all over my room. So there's a glass everywhere. And I literally was about to just jump out the window. Not gonna lie. Then, because my room was dark and I was obviously like crying or whatever, I just remember him like standing like towards the end of my bed, like just like looking at me. Cause like first of all, no one's ever seen me like that, but like this man I don't think he had ever even seen me cry up until like this situation after like years. So he was just like this man's traumatized, and this is not funny. This man was just looking at me like traumatized, like didn't know what to do, and I'm just a mess all over here, just a mess. And then like my eyes were closed, whatever, and it was my room's dark. And then somebody knocks at my door, and I'm assuming it's my sister because I just heard her like screaming, like run out of the bathroom. So I'm assuming it's my sister or whatever. And so I told my little brother like, oh, like she can come in, whatever. Like as I'm like sobbing, like right here in this spot, like a mess. And then I feel somebody like rubbing my back. But you know how you can feel the presence of multiple people in a room even though your eyes are closed? So like I knew she was still over there, but like I thought that this was my sister. And then after like 2 minutes, I opened my eyes and it was my mom. And then I was a mess. I just was like crying more. And then after that, I ended up just like hugging her or whatever. And then she hugged me, and then she was crying and I was crying. And that had never happened ever. Like my mom has probably not seen me cry in like at least 5 years. Pretty much like I've lived with my mom for like majority of my my whole life, majority of my life. And I want to say towards like my teen years up until like a couple months ago, I've been really like stiff on her, like not talking to her, like not communicating to her unless I had to. Like I would not voluntarily have any sort of conversation really unless I had to speak to her. Like that's how like stiff our relationship was or whatever until that moment or whatever. And then she was like, like let's start over as, like mother and son and, all that jazz. And then they helped me clean up the glass, and after that, I thought that things would get better, but things kind of got better, right? As far as like, I obviously wasn't like crying, and like she wasn't saying homophobic things, and like, I didn't mention this part, but like her husband is like, this man's all over the place, on top of like racist antics and like homophobic things and just getting at me, yelling in my face, are you gay? Are you like all that jazz? And the fact that, I didn't mention this part, but like in our conversation thing, she like defended him, and that threw me. So yeah, so anyways, after that, our relationship has been, I would definitely say it's been way better, but never really brought up anything of the sort of the topic again. But there's not much to bring up. Like not much in my life has changed. I don't have a boyfriend. Haven't in a long while, years. Yeah, not much has changed. And then so after that though, I was like, all right. I sat my sisters down and pretty much had to explain to them, like, it was probably 2 days later after the whole explosion, everything, and because they were here, and they just didn't know what was going on. So sat them down, talked to them, and pretty much told them how it went with my mom, our mom, leading up to that, and, pretty much wrapped up everything, how it made sense about the explosion and everything like that, because they were so confused for 2 days. And then after that, and pretty much my sisters were like, oh yeah, like we knew, like, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then came to the point of me having to tell my dad. So fast forward, up until last weekend, I told him, so it literally took like 3 months. But it's not like, I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, that's why I vanished off social media in the beginning of this year for like those 2 months. I was going through the Great Depression. But yeah, so pretty much just trying to even get in contact with my dad was like difficult because this man's always like, I don't know, busy or something like that. So pretty much on Father's Day, I ended up telling him, and over the phone, he lives in Ohio, told him over the phone, and did not expect things to go that smoothly, because growing up, I don't know if it's just dads being dads, or like if I just interpreted things the wrong way or whatever the case. But pretty much like growing up, I used to have like, just my hand just used to like rest like this. And I remember him like angrily like slapping it down, like absolutely not. And I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm grateful for that now that I don't walk around like this. But like at the time, I internalized that as like homophobia. And then also people at school be like, you walk gay, you talk gay, you like, why do you dress like that and all this stuff like that. Like me just dressing normal, me just talking like this, I didn't know anything was wrong with my voice or like the way that I walked and stuff like that. But people nitpicked every single thing. Literally made me hate every single thing about myself. I remember one time one of my friends just like going off on some people, and I'm like, girl, like, what are you doing? And she's like, they're over here talking about you. And I'm like, I didn't even notice. Like, people do that all the time, like talk about every single thing about me. She's like, that's not fine. I'm like, this happens to me all the time. Like, literally strangers nitpicking me, every single thing, while I was, middle school, high school, stuff like that. And I remember my dad coming to Texas one time, and And I'm talking about I hadn't seen him in years. And he was like walking behind me on the sidewalk. And he was like, "Oh, kind of like change your walk or whatever." And that just like hit me like clearly if these people at school are saying it, and he's saying something, and like they don't know each other, you know what I mean? So I was internalizing that as like these people at school were being homophobic. So like him saying something about like the way that I walk, because these people were just saying it, you know what I mean? Obviously took that as like some sort of like something. And then I remember like talking to him on the phone or whatever before when I was in high school, and he was just like, "Oh, like try to like put some more like bass in your voice or whatever." And I was just like, I mean, had he known that I was getting it like this bad at school, I'm pretty sure he would have said like, he wouldn't have, you know, say anything about the way that I talked or the way that I walked or anything like that. But like I was just like because, you know, so pretty much all of that stuff built up to me delaying the fact of like me coming out to him, because obviously I'm like, and I'm his only son. He has like, I don't know however many daughters, you know, that's for another story. But I'm like, you know, I don't know how he's gonna take this. You know, I don't want him to just be like, my chances of ever having great, like, you know, like my last name's gonna be gone forever, this generation's ending, like, you know, like I didn't know how he was gonna take this. So I'm like, it just delayed everything. But pretty much I called him or whatever, we talked on the phone for an hour. I ended up telling him, and it went too smoothly, suspiciously smoothly. I'm talking about, I'm like, I'm still questioning things smoothly. But he was just like, which, I mean, my dad's way chiller than my mom. So, like, I knew it wasn't going to be as bad as my mom. But he was just like, "Oh, well, you know, like, I mean, growing up, I had, you know, like an aunt that had girlfriends, stuff like that. Like, that's not anything, like, too out of the ordinary for me. And, you know, that's not nothing crazy." He was like, "I can't even, like, I'm not one of those people that can just be, like, homophobic. Like, this man, like, he's not one of those people." So, like, I knew that, but just, like, you know, it's different when it's your own child, because it's your only son. So, like, I just didn't know what to expect, obviously. So, things went very smoothly, and, yeah. So, and the crazy part is, I think that was, like, our first time talking, or probably, like, second time talking on the phone, like, this year. We're halfway through the year. And that was just last weekend. So, yeah, so it's kind of, like, a big deal. So, yeah, so that's how that went with him. That's how that went with my mom. And yeah, so also, I mean, I remember doing like a Q&A, and the number one asked question was like about my sexuality, and I just skimmed over all of that and like didn't put those in the video because like I was not ready for that conversation. So yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap up the video by saying be kind to others. Anybody in the LGBTQ plus community is 5 times more likely to commit suicide, because you don't know what people are going through, and life is pretty tragic over here. Also being a double minority, and poor, it was pretty rough. So yeah, hold on, wait. Okay, so yeah, also, I'm a clown, and I forgot to mention the fact that, I mean, the reason that I got this tattoo, hello, it says Hakuna Matata in Arabic, you know, the Lion King thing. Hakuna Matata means no worries. I got this during my Great Depression. Yeah, it was pretty serious, but yeah, that's what that says. Lion King, favorite movie. Just thought I would throw that little spice in there, just in case anybody was wondering. Hakuna Matata means no worries. I was just trying to, like, not think about everything and not worry about everything. It's like sentimental value, and I like the fact that it's right here, so I can like cover it up whenever or not. And the fact that like if you're looking at me or like this, you can't even see it. So yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching. Hope this answers everybody's questions, and just stay tuned for the next video, because the next video is a banger. But yeah, love everybody. And, oh yeah, it's been a while. To keep up with me when I'm not posting on here, on my social media is at Zachariah DeMilo. Follow me on all of that. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that jazz. And until next time. We did it, Joe.